if you're ever going to achieve any success in life, whether it's in relationships, whether it's a relationship with yourself, in business, or maybe you're working for a company and you want to climb the ladder of success, the quickest way to have success is to live more on the spiritual plane than the other two planes. You see, we live as human beings on three planes of understanding. There's the physical, the intellectual, and the spiritual. Now, the physical is us right now in this current reality where we are showing up a soul inside a body. We are actually a soul having an experience inside our temple, this temple called our body. The next plane of understanding is the intellectual, where we're using our minds inside this physical body to create life, okay? Then there's another plane of understanding, which is the spiritual. And this is when you are connected to a power greater than yourself, who I like to call God. Many people have the aversion to the word God because of their upbringing to do with religion. So many people have an aversion to the word God. So if that's you, that's okay. Replace that word with universe, spirit, source. You may even want to call this power maybe infinite intelligence. It doesn't matter. It's all about understanding or knowing at a very deep level that there is something that's right now rotating the earth around the sun, that all the planets are lined up beautifully, all in alignment, so that the whole universe works. That this planet earth is creating all the time. Like everything is perfectly aligned to keep creation going. And in order for that to happen, there has to be a source greater than ourselves that is making it happen. Because as far as I know, there's no human out there that's pushing a button every day and to make sure everything's in working order. I mean, we have winters, summers, we have the tide, we have night and day, we have all of that working in harmony with each other. And that's why we have the universal laws. And the universal laws are so loyal and they're so true that if you in any way break the universal laws, you're not using one law in the right way, you will have consequences to showcase where you have possibly not used the law correctly. So back to my original statement today, I have discovered that many people tend to live on just the physical plane and the intellectual. But when you start to include God, source, spirit, infinite intelligence in everything you do, that you remind yourself that there is a power greater than yourself who created you, that's living not only around you, but inside of you, that is when you will achieve phenomenal success, where you rely on a power greater than yourself to do your bidding. And the reason why I've made this post today is because I was having a conversation with a client of mine yesterday who has been in the habit for a very long time just living on the physical and intellectual plane, and doing a lot of doing according to other people's opinions of how that person should show up to grow her business. And she's not getting the results. In fact, it's causing her demise of making a difference in the world with her intellectual solution, because she's so conditioned to have to do certain things in her business to attract clients. And I reminded her yesterday, but where's God in all of this? Where is God in all of this? It seems like you are the God of your business, But what would happen if you included God to do some of the heavy lifting? I do believe each and every one of us has a universal manager that's dying to serve us. If only we would allow that entity, that formless substance, as Wallace Wattle calls it, in the science of getting rich. If only we would trust more in this unseen force to do our bidding, I believe all of us would get exactly what we want all the time. But the reason why we don't rely on this power greater than ourselves that's moving through us and part of us all day long is because of our upbringing in religion. I believe many people live in two worlds, and the world they tend to live in more is the world of disbelief around a power greater than ourselves because of the opinions that were passed on to them from a religious standpoint that were not very loving. And so it really comes down to each and every one of us, now that we are adults, is to let go of those stories of what we were told about God, source, spirit, and to make a decision about what you want your higher power to be. You can actually create the exact God you would love in your life. And when you make that decision that you are going to create that God, and that person, thing, entity is going to be loving, generous, kind, forgiving, wants to please you all the time. When you make a decision to have that version of God in your life, then everything's going to change for you. How do I know? Because I have struggled for many years growing up in a household where we were told that God's going to punish us all the time if we're not behaving, that we were going to get into trouble. Not so much in my parents' home, but more when I was going to religious teachings. Every Sunday from the age of 4, we were given a God that wasn't very loving, right? A more punishing God. But when I changed my relationship with a power greater than myself and started to live more on the spiritual plane, that's when the magic happened. That's when everything fell into its place, when more money started to come in, when my business took off, when I was able to relax more, when I was able to come into my true self through the support of a power greater than myself. That's when everything started to happen, and divine right order was restored in everything in my life. Now, I'm not religious in any way, but I am spiritual. And when I surrendered to a power greater than myself, that's when the magic happened. Now, you don't need to take my word for it. You can even go and get this book, U Squared, by Price Pritchard. This is written by a PhD who's very scientific. But even today when I was reading, in this book, he actually says, rely on the unseen forces. Rely on the unseen forces to help you. Even this genius doesn't just live on the physical and intellectual plane. He too has surrendered to a power greater than himself. And this morning I was even reading about what he was saying in here was think beyond what common sense would allow. And he says even in this about surrendering. This is how you have a quantum leap. So for any and each one of you, I'll just end my broadcast today to support you right now, to have anything and everything you want. The quickest way to do that is to stop living on the physical and intellectual plane, the doing, the I all the time, and live more on the spiritual plane where you are relying on a power greater than yourself. If you've done the footwork to the best of your ability, then surrender. Give it to God to take over. If you've done your bit, then relax more, rest more, and allow God to do your bidding for you, because that's when you're going to discover how you can have anything and everything you want when you allow this power to come into your life. All right, that's it for me. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm all about helping you master this piece of equipment that God gave us, to master this piece of equipment so that you can master your life. And when you learn to use your mind effectively, that is when you are going to have whatever you want, whenever you want it, however you want it. But first, you must get order in your mind. And so this is what my channel is all about. Consider subscribing. I'd love your company. I try and push out at least 4 videos a week. And if any of this is resonating with you and you feel someone needs to hear this message today, then go and share it with someone who, just needs a spiritual lift to keep them going. I'm done and dusted. I'll see you tomorrow.